Testing, check, check. Hello, welcome. This is the Ninja Robot Studio LLC stream. I play video games and VR experiences and talk through them from a UX designer's perspective, as game development has a very, very direct and heavy influence on VR development and XR development. So it would make sense that we would study game design in order to create more quality immersive experiences. And so what I do is I go by genre. I've already played, you can check out the About section on Twitch. I've already played tabletop RPGs, and you can see an example report of that in the About section on Twitch. And later on demand, it'll be in the show notes. And I've done platformers, and now I'm working on training in XR. And I've played through a series of games within that genre. I've played through 8 games within this genre, and now I am synthesizing all of that information into a bigger synthesis so that I can create outputs from that. So after each game, I will do what's called a Rose, Thorn, Bud exercise, where I thinking from the pillars of gaming UX and the UX best practices for training, since we're doing training simulators. You can check out Pillars of Gaming UX is from Celia Hodent's book, The Gamer's Brain. I've put the link in the chat, and it will be in the show notes later on demand. But these are the pillars of gaming UX, as they're similar to Nielsen Norman heuristics. However, a few things are different than what you'd expect from an application or productivity app that have to do specifically with gaming and motivation, emotion, game flow, which aren't necessarily relevant to productivity solutions. So they're a little bit different, but along the same principles. A lot of the same principles are there from the Nielsen Norman heuristics, and and they've changed out 3 that weren't relevant to gaming, but are relevant, that were not relevant to gaming, and put in 3 that are relevant to gaming. And then the best practices for training are from my UX for XR toolkit. You can check out the links to all the things in my link tree, which I just put in the chat. And so right now, so after each game, I'll do a Rose, Thorn, Bud exercise. This is what we would call competitive landscape research. I'm studying what's out there right now, because the concept would be that if I were to create my own training sim, then I would want to know what's working, what's not working out there in the industry. As a designer, how have other people solved these problems? And what can we do to fill in the gaps? What can we learn from how others have done it, based on our knowledge of UX best practices and our knowledge of pillars of gaming UX and so forth. This would be called a competitive landscape from a expert designer's perspective. And we look through and we say, Rose, Thorn, Bud, after each game that we play, what's working, what went well, what was a highlight, what did we like? Thorns, what didn't go well, what was a low point, what did we not like? Again, based on best practices for UX. And Buds are, what do we see? What opportunity do we see? What would we do differently? If this were our game, what would we do differently? What follow-up questions do we have, or anything? And this is a very definitive, once we're done with the Rose, Thorn, Bud, is you got a very definitive list. What's working, what's not working, what are we going to do about it? So you've got your next steps, and you want at least 1 bud per thorn, so that you are fixing the things that aren't working instead of just complaining about them. So that is what I went through and did on each of the individual games. And then afterwards, we would talk about, okay, if this were a 2D game, which it is, what would we need to think about if it were a XR game, XR training? And if it were a VR game, which some of these are, what would we need to think about if it were augmented or mixed reality? So that's what we go through. And then I have another exercise that I'm doing on Tuesdays, which is gathering patterns for a pattern library that I'm creating. So right now, though, I'm working on the synthesis of all this stuff into one big thing. And I have done all of the games, the synthesis on all of the games except for lab training VR. It's the last one. That's where I need to pick up, and then I'll have my complete like synthesis of this research. And then I start writing the report or whatever output. I'm going to be writing some reports, and I'm going to be using this to inform some future courses that I'm working on. And again, you can check out the links in the link tree to all the things. Because I do create on-demand courses as well. And then the streams that I do are just you being able to watch real work being done. Oh, hey, Phantom. How are you doing? You're being able to watch real work being done so that you get a better grasp of what the industry, the work environment is like if you are a UX designer for XR and if you don't have any experience, you'll learn like this is the type of work we're doing on a day-to-day basis. You'll learn by watching and learn by participating if you participate in the chat. And that'll only help you with your own career. Okay, so I'm picking back up with this one. Now, I had an issue with this one. I wasn't able to finish it because the performance was so bad on my PC that it was lagging. And it was laggy to the point that if somebody had epilepsy, they would have had an epileptic seizure because it was flashing, lagging. It was terrible. I was afraid that it was going to crash my PC, and it did crash my stream. So I don't have any recording footage of it or anything. It completely crashed. So no footage. So I don't have a lot of info on this, and I honestly don't want to reinstall it to try again because I don't want to kill my computer. So, and I definitely wouldn't be able to do it live because it crashed my stream last time, so it would probably do it again. So, we're just going to, I've been trying to decide, do I want to risk following up? So what I might do is try to find a video on YouTube or something, and then if I can't find a video of it, if someone else playing it, which is probable, then I will just make a note in my notes up here to say, hey, I wasn't able to finish studying this one, but this is what I did learn. If I ever get a chance to follow up, I may, but honestly, don't want to kill my computer. So that might not happen. But there were some interesting things about it that I would have liked to go back and look at because it seems like they probably had an instructional designer involved in it to some degree, at least the parts that they migrated over from whatever their 2D training was that they had before. Phantom says that's bad. Scaling the display options to match the available hardware is an important consideration. The best games will run on just about anything, but just look better on better hardware. Yeah. So it's possible that it was an issue with an old driver on my part, and I did update the drivers, and then I tried it again, and it was still not good. So I just rage uninstalled it because I didn't want it killing Again, I don't want it killing my computer. So yeah, it is a good consideration. But it looks like, and this is an issue, this is a common trend that I'm seeing across actual, like, legitimate official training, is that they only care about certain hardware that they have recommended for their audience. But then the thing is that when people decide to release things to the public, like on Steam, they don't go back and fix those issues. They just release what they have, and it's not made for the Steam audience. It's still made for their specific, like, enterprise audience that was originally controlled. Like, you need to buy this equipment and you need to use this computer, and then so they don't have to worry about anything else. But as soon as you start releasing stuff to the public, like both lab training VR and fire safety VR did, you need to go back and think about those things. Yeah. So, but they seem to have not done that. Or it seems like fire safety training is iterating, because they made changes. And I think lab training added Quest support later, but that was me using my Quest when all that happened. So yeah, they may need to do some more iteration. Yeah, when you're doing it for enterprise and stuff, you have way more control over what they get. Yeah. Did I make a note of that? Because that's a good thing to talk about. I think I did here. Yeah. Yeah. So if the company's supplying the headset, then decide whatever. But if it's publicly available, you'll need to research the common headsets and make sure that it's performant for those. Yeah. So that's another thing I'm going to do is copy over all of this to these notes. Okay. So let's see. Roses. They let you initiate the start, so that is that something they all do? I think that there were some that did not. Some of them started and then wish it would have at least kept that footage. It just did not. So now I have to think about that because I know with first steps it starts on its own, but then stops at some point and waits for you to give input. Our mechanic lets you start yourself. So I'm going to put this, because I don't know why it's not already here. Unless I'm forgetting someone that did not let you start. Let's see. They let you start. Yeah, they all let you start. So that's an overall. Okay. Captions are provided. This was a standout thing. Just for them. None of the others did closed captioning or anything. I don't think. They definitely didn't. So I'll just do that. Would that go under the option of accompanying text with a voice with text? Let's see. Their text only. Their text only. Text only. I'm gonna combine it with that one because those are the only two that do that. This is so big now. I have to zoom out so I can't read it. Oops, voice is, and then for PPE, captions are provided. And see, these are overarching things. I do want to tie that to that defaulted to off. That would be standout issue. Run out of room. So what I'm gonna do, well, then I can't put the bug next to it. And if I move all this down, this is where it's just getting too big. Uh, add to that bud. There were a lot of issues with fire safety training, but again, I spent a lot more time on it, to be fair. Okay. Have one. Always include text or voice with audio. Yeah, text with audio. That guy had it right the first time. Oh, so I didn't break anything, I hope. Doesn't look like it. Okay. It gives you an estimate of how long it's going to take to finish. That's something that none of the other ones did. So that's a standout. And they tell you what to expect, what you'll be learning. I've got more thorns associated with that, so I might need to move stuff again. Is anything else tied to something? Because I might move this up because I've already got some PPE stuff up here. And I want to keep them together if possible. Okay, I'm gonna do that. And okay. Oh, was gonna move that up here. This is another nice thing about using post-its instead of writing out flow of consciousness in this type of research, because you can rearrange things as you need and everything's short and concise, and it makes it easier to scan and see the it also helps you to communicate more concisely, which is important in this type of environment. Tells you what to expect. It has grading requirements. These are all standout because none of the other ones did that. Yeah. That one, same. Same, same. These are standouts. All of these things that I liked were standout things. Um, that I didn't see in any of the other games. Okay, so now we have these things tied directly together. I'm gonna put these on the other side. So that these arrows don't get confusing. It tells you what to expect, what you'll be learning, but there's no way to go back to it. To that. There's no way to manually progress the info. It's just telling you all at once, and then it's a video, and I didn't find a way to go back and review it. Maybe there was. Again, I was having a lot of issues. Grading requirements, again, was all like together in this video that you could not like go back and review later or anything. No way to manually progress it, no way to go back and review it that I was aware of. And it also saved your progress, which was really nice. You didn't have to start over. There were no wayfinding to say like go here next or anything. And since these are tied directly to the PPE, kind of obvious that they go with PPE, and I've grouped it together here, so it should be obvious that those go with that. To me, I'm the one that has to review this, so. And then see if we can squeeze one more in here. Okay. I didn't see any controllers. I did go back and try the Vive. But I can't remember if you could see hands or what. I have to go back and review. And now we'll these buds. something else in there. Okay, and they just lifted and shifted a video from their, I'm guessing from their existing training, and they just plopped it into the VR training at the beginning. And that doesn't take advantage of the technology by doing that. Because there were a lot of videos in there. That my guess is because they have to have been teaching this for ages, they probably just lifted and shifted their existing video training into the VR experience. And then at that point, you have to ask yourself, what's the point? There is interactivity, of course. There is a lot more interactivity than you'd be able to have in video, but and that actually goes back to the performance issue, because here, let's see. If you're just going to show on videos anyway, just show on videos in 2D and keep the stuff that's relevant to VR in VR. Because there were a lot of stations in there, at least from what I was able to see before I rage quit it and uninstalled it, for the performance issues and the fact that I could not handle that flashing anymore, because I don't have epilepsy, but I felt like I was about to have an epileptic fit myself, even though I don't have it that I'm aware of. So flashing lights do make me nauseous on occasion, so maybe I do have a mild form of it. Some people go their entire lives without being diagnosed. So what was I just saying? I was saying keep, it's like if you're just going to show videos anyway, keep that in 2D and keep the VR relevant stuff in VR. Because there were lots of videos that were done that way. I think that needs to be a separate. I still have to add this one. I need to scoot these down more. See, I think everyone has a limit to the amount of flashing they can or want to tolerate, even if it doesn't put you on the floor. It's still a bad experience. Yeah, that is what they do to, like, annoy people in siege situations, isn't it? So yeah. True. need to scoot stuff down more. I have more. I need to get that one from the top. Fortunately, this is it. We're almost done. Okay. Nope. Ugh. Okay. Incredibly laggy to the point of risking epileptic seizures needs to go here. And I'll just say PPE on it. What I might start doing in the future in the synthesis is taking advantage of the tags that I finally started paying attention to in Miro. So that way I can just tag these post-its to whatever game it is. But I'd already done this, so in the future I may start using that tag a lot more. And so here. Did anything else get messed up? It's a bit messy now. Okay. So that was everything from here. And now I want to do the translating to XR stuff. That's also relevant. If I already have that in here. Best practices for memory cues. Trainings here, tooltips and memory cues. Okay. I was just making a list of which best practices cover what is happening in here. I need to go back and do it again, or I might end up just doing that as I write whatever I'm writing. If it's in AR or MR. It's just this stuff. Okay. Now I want to go back and get this stuff, make sure I did this on fire safety training. And then we'll be done adding everything to the big board. Yeah. This has been a lot of work. Okay. Classroom settings. Do I have anything about classroom settings? No. Okay. Not there. It's natural for people to want to look around and get acquainted with their surroundings. Even if those surroundings are grayed out, it's an instinct we have. Just let us do it. That was gonna add if releasing to the public later retro, make sure target audience. That could actually be a lot of work depending on when you made it, what version of Unity and all that. I don't know anything about Unreal VR creation, but for Unity that could be a lot of work depending on when you made it. What technology was available when it was originally made. Okay. Accessibility. Haven't written any, but we can see if we can find some. Natural NPC behaviors. I have some stuff that I have written but I haven't published because I want to go back and study it more before I do. But I can see if there's somebody else has some. Okay. Yeah. And that is it for the synthesis. Now I need to start writing reports, I guess. So when I write reports, so this would be called a one of the reports I would write would be like a competitive landscape research report. So if the team cared, right? It's usually whenever I'm doing competitive landscaping, I don't do a report unless the team's wanting me to provide them some kind of info because they want to also be informed on something. Because if it's gonna help them make some kind of decisions about the direction of the project, which it very much might, then maybe I would write a report. Most of the time, I don't have the time to do that. most of the time I could just like show it to them, share it with them like in this form, but if they wanted to see it, but they usually don't. Um, but with VR, that's when I was doing 2D. With VR, it would potentially be different because with VR, it's you're much more reliant on each other as a team when you're creating stuff because it's so much more technically involved than creating for 2D and stuff. So you're much more reliant on your team until you know more, right? Because, like, I don't know what's possible and what's not possible within what timeline or so forth for VR as well as I would for 2D or for apps or something. Because because I designed for those for years and years and years, and I knew very well what was possible and what wasn't possible. But with VR, because it's still emerging, it's constantly changing, the technology is constantly getting better, and things are becoming possible that weren't before. I have to be very reliant and trusting of my developer teammates to know and understand what's possible, what's not. So, um, I may very well want to share with the team, okay, this is what I found. Now let's think about what we would want to do with ours. So in that case, I might write a report. So there would be two forms of the report if I were going to do it. I would do a short one for the people that don't have time and just want the highlights and don't care about all the details. Like the executives, the people holding the money, because you want them to get them on board with whatever direction you're wanting to go with your design. So for the people holding the money and the people like the bosses and stuff, you would want a shorter form report that's maybe 4 slides, maybe 5 slides. Because normally they're PowerPoint presentations. But I've gotten to where they're just like short emails, or actually, I've kept the slide presentation format because it's more visual and people are more likely to read it than they are an email. Sometimes, so because it's visually appealing, so I'll do a short form in the form of like 4 or 5 slides, and then the long form will be a written report with supporting images. That's much longer and more detailed, and that would say, hey, you can also come check out this actual artifact if you want to look even more. Or the videos for me, because my walkthroughs on YouTube. Um, you know, I don't have any templates that I have that I was able to like take from previous work. It's all like proprietary stuff. So I'm gonna have to make new ones, possibly, unless there are templates online. I doubt there are. There is this company, but there is this company called Slidebean, and I think there might be more options out there now um, that uses. They focus on pitch decks, which this is not a pitch deck, but they've got a lot of templates, and they have a free account. They have a free version. So like presentation templates. So they've started adding presentations. Okay. They're pretty nice looking. I would prefer a dark template. I want to preview it. So what does this one look like? Yeah, this one's okay. And I would do a, but yeah, the layout isn't what I need. What I need is executive summary and some lists of things that are working and things that aren't working. So that might not work. I would still have to change it. So I need to search for. Let me just do a search. What time is it? Because I need to end at the before the top of the hour again. So, research presentation template. Does anyone have any? Ugh, I hate PowerPoints. Not a proposal. Do you know of any like AI stuff out there nowadays that's like helping you create slides rapidly that weren't there before? Envato probably charges you money. We'll see. Market research. Subscribe to download. Pricing. No. Okay. You don't know of any AI slide stuff yet? Here. AI slide generator. I'm trying to remember what. Pricing, please. Why does no one have like a free thing? You can try it free. AI Copilot for Office 360 is coming. I don't have Office 360. Microsoft was adding AI to their suite. Yeah, I don't have 360 or Teams or any of that, but they are adding. Yeah, they are adding it. So at this point, it would just be faster for me to make one. But okay, this is Google Workplace. Yeah, look at this one. Try example prompts. How would that even help? Because I need to put my own info in here, not what the AI says. I need my own brain, not the AI brain. I just want you to make it pretty. What they used to ask me to do whenever they'd come to me for signs. I don't need your brain. I just want you to make it pretty. The answer to why it isn't free programmers. Yeah, same as me. Yeah. But nobody wants to pay for anything, especially now. We don't have any money. It's like a vicious cycle. Like, I don't have any money, I can't pay you. But the reason I can't pay you is because nobody's paying me. Vicious cycle. Free version. 3 presentations a month. This might be workable, but let's see what it is. Okay, so you enter your text and you want to say the type, the style. Okay. I would not want all of that text to be on a presentation. those bullet points aren't formatted properly. Let me see the original text. Oh, I want to see the original text. It's just paragraphs. So there is a title there, okay? So it just generated bullet points out of the text. It's just a bunch of bullet points. Not what I would do anyway. For the report. I have a mix of supporting images and stuff. So there's kind of no point in that. I just need to find a nice template then. Or go back to my Mac and get to work on my Mac. Sorry, it has, you know, nice templates to get right out of the box. Anyway, so I'm going to do one presentation that is like an executive summary of this stuff. And then I will do a longer form report similar to what I did for the tabletop RPGs that I did, that you can find on the Twitch page. And then I will also turn it into a talk presentation. So like if I were presenting this report to people instead of just sending them a report in an email, I would do a presentation and talk through it. And then so I would make a report like that. And you can watch a previous one I did on tabletop RPGs. Check that out in the link tree. So I'm going to do something similar here of like all of those things. So I need to find a template that I can use on my PC, not my Mac, so that I can stream it. Because I still haven't got my Mac to work with the stream over here. Streaming from my PC with my Mac involved. I still haven't got that working. I need to figure that out. But haven't yet. So anyway, I have a meeting at 1 that I'd like a break before. So I'm kind of at a stopping point anyway before I start writing the report. Unless I just want to keep like looking for templates, like what do the Google Slides templates look like? Free templates. Let's see. I have Canva. Dark. I'm gonna end up just making my own. Guess I'll do it on. I'll either do it through here or Google Sheets, probably. The Polygon Pastor streams from his Mac somehow. Yeah, it's possible, and I do have an Elgato thing that's what I use to stream from my PlayStation to my PC, so that it comes out of OBS through my PC. But I just need to figure out how to do that with my Mac, and I think you have to have OBS installed on both your Mac and your PC to get it to work. Because I've also been trying to figure out how do I do it from my iPad as well. I just have to take the time to do it, because it is possible. I just have to take the time to. My problem is there are so many wires and cables involved. I'm so tired of wires and cables. But yeah, I just have to, because somebody was very, very kind. A friend was very, very kind to send me an Elgato. That I could use to hook up my PlayStation and stream PlayStation VR through my PC. He's probably going OBS directly from the Mac. Yeah, if that's all he's using, he's probably just streaming directly from his Mac. But what I want to do is more complicated. Jade sent me some resources that I need to go back and look at. I just have to install a bunch of software and I set some accounts up and stuff. I think the way he was telling me how to do it. Or I can try using my Elgato, see if I don't have to set up any accounts anywhere. This one is not ugly. But let's see. I do need to figure out, though, how to get my Mac to stream over here, because there is some software that I'm going to be using for research that is not available on the PC. It's Mac only. So I need to get that figured out. These are not horrific, but they're not, like, awesome either. I'm going to end up just making my own. It's kind of better. I would use something like this for research findings, like stats and stuff. I would use this type of slide for that. Maybe I might use this one. I can add photos to it. Or just make my own. It's this one. You can't see it? Alrighty. Okay. So that's the next thing I need to do, is decide on a template. So what I would include in the short form is executive summary, what I did, the design of the research, so what I did for my research, what I studied, like which games, what platforms they're on, and then any like caveats, like the caveat that like there were some of these were teaching were training skill, and some were training and interaction. So like first steps, first contact, were teaching you how to interact with the world. That's all they were doing. So I need to like make sure that I know that. It's like first steps, first contact. These were onboarding only. And when I went through Rover Mech, and Car Mech, I just went through all of these. I only went through the onboarding of these. Power safety, I went through the whole thing. PPE, I wasn't able to. So those are the kinds of things I would include, caveats. Okay, this is what happened with the research. And then this was my setup of how I did the research. And these are my overall top findings. I would come in here and I would look for trends. So like one of the trends that I found is the number of standout issues, like this second column here. The number of standout issues here is like standout, meaning this issue was only found in one game and it was not a trend amongst all of them, is telling me that there's no sharing of standards amongst enterprise, which I already knew, but this is kind of proving it. Means we need to start sharing standards and stop being so close, tight-fisted, everything to our chest, because we're too worried about intellectual property, and just share our best practices standards. And that's where someone like me can come in and start sharing those standards without companies having to worry about intellectual property. I'm on the outside looking at stuff, not from a specific company standpoint. So then I would share that, and I would like the biggest standout issues, the biggest things that we can learn from this. And then if you want to learn more, you can dig into the deeper report, which is then going to be very detailed, like what I did with the tabletop RPG one. Just go there, please. Which was, I can just search it. I did a talk, so this is how I would do it if it were a talk, how to create a great tabletop RPG. That would be my like presentation if I were presenting it to a team. And then this is the report that I did for tabletop RPGs. So then how to create a great tabletop RPG. So I did all this research. So I talked about these are my findings. So I did a grouping. I played these games, and this is the platform they were on. And you can watch all those videos if you want to watch me playing them. Here they are. And then overarching things that work. So that's taking this. Wait, I don't even have it up here. Let's see. Where is it? Taking this column, overarching things that work, and putting it into this report, and then getting examples from the experiences to talk about, here's what's working, here's where you can learn more about this. Here's another thing that's working, details about why this is important. Here's where you can learn more about it, and so forth. So it's not even like hugely wordy. It's just teaching you, and now here's where you can go learn more about it if you want to. So it's a lot of images and some examples and explaining what's going on here. Like their free-to-play model is actually pretty interesting in Card Hunter. Still makes me hungry because they their currency is pizza slices, and so forth. What are the trends? Why does it matter? So that's an example of an actual report that I would do, and that I'm going to try to do with training and tie it all back to best practices for those things. And so that's what I'm going to be working on next. Executive summary. I may do the long report first, because that'll help me make the summary version. So that would actually probably be easier to just write this form first. And so then I will start working on that next time, I guess. Yeah. So thanks for hanging out. I'll see y'all next time. And have a good rest of your day and a good weekend.